Welcome back to Renaissance Man Media. Okay, guys, so if you've been following the videos that I've been putting out, the next one that I had for the James Bond series is ThunderBall. Now, this is the only James Bond movie that I don't own. I sold it because the last time I watched it, which was 3 years ago, I hated it. So I rewatched this one by myself this time, and I will say this, I didn't hate it like I did 3 years ago. I don't really know what changed. Maybe I just was maybe I just was bored or I wasn't focusing enough. This time, I didn't find, like I said in my last review, that the underwater sequences, and by the way, if you haven't seen ThunderBall, go watch it, but the movie's 60 years old at this point, so you should know what's going on. There's not as many underwater sequences as I thought originally. I remember this movie as like an hour and a half of just underwater sequences. That's not true. Now, they pair one underwater sequence where James Bond's posed as one of the bad guys, and then they like give you like a 5-minute in between, and then they loop that back with another underwater sequence to finish the movie. The last one to finish the movie, I will say it's kind of cool when you see like the good guys. I don't really know. I think they're British forces, but I don't know. They might be United Nations. I have no idea what they are, but they parachute down into the water to fight the bad guys, and they, shoot harpoons at each other and stuff like that. That's cool to see them come down, but to actually see them fight in the water, you could have done like 2 minutes, but instead they dragged that out for like a 10-15 minute sequence, and that was just too much. There's a lot of just like terribly bad, like the dubbing in this. They redubbed a lot of the audio. It's bad. You can definitely tell that what the person's saying on screen is not actually what you're hearing. Yeah, and a lot of the green screen or whatever the backgrounds that they used. I mean, you got people driving boats that they're just doing this, and clearly like they're not actually driving. So there's a lot of bad stuff in this. That being said, there is more good stuff than I remember the first time. Connery's pretty damn good in this. I mean, he's not flawless, but he's pretty good, and he kind of is what makes this movie semi-enjoyable. That being said, out of all the Bond movies that I can remember, I would still say this is the worst one. Now, like I said, there's a handful that I either have only watched part of or haven't watched at all. I think A View to a Kill is the only one I haven't seen any of at all. I think the only three that I haven't watched in their entirety is On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which, like I said, I think I got through half of it. Man with the Golden Gun, I think I got through half. And Diamonds Are Forever. Diamonds Are Forever I've watched, but I don't remember much of it, which the cool thing is I just did my random number generator, and the movie that I got was Diamonds Are Forever, so that'll be my next one that I watch. Probably try to watch that tonight. Looking forward to that one. Because the rest of the Bond movies, like I said, all the other ones I own. This one, I got HBO Max for a 1-month subscription just to, watch ThunderBall again. I was thinking about buying it on Blu-ray again, but it's like cheapest copies, like $25. My local vintage stock, which if someone doesn't have vintage stock in their area, it's basically like a used electronics store. They didn't even have it, so I don't really want to spend $25 to buy a movie that I think is just meh, because in my opinion, my Blu-ray collection is mainly for movies that I actually like and have rewatchability. And to be honest, aside from being a James Bond movie, I don't really think ThunderBall is all that rewatchable. Like I said, it's not as bad as I remember, but overall, it's not a great film. So, like I said, the positives are Connery, Domino. She's a good Bond girl. Wish we could actually hear her real voice, because I'm pretty sure it was dubbed by some other lady. I can never understand what the girl says when she's doing her name, but the bad girl that wears the Spectre ring, she has some really good lines with James, and I kind of forgot about that. Like I said, in my head, I felt like this whole movie just takes place underwater, and it doesn't. And a lot of it, there is some good back and forth with James telling that evil girl, don't kid yourself, like, I didn't take any pleasure from last night, which was a good line. Yeah, so the bad guy, Largo, I think he's actually a pretty good bad guy. He's menacing on screen. The casino scene, it's very short, but that's good, where he's like, something about, like, I thought I saw a specter, or I thought I noticed a specter. I like that. The scene we get with, like, the bad guys, like Spectre as an organization being in that room, you seeing number one and him frying a guy, that stuff's pretty cool. Like I said, I just wish we would have got more of that. Instead, we just got all this underwater stuff. I don't mind, like the initial sequence of like the plane going down underwater. Didn't mind that. Didn't mind them actually going and like looking for the nuclear weapons, like on the plane, like when James dives down. Didn't mind that. I didn't even mind them like going to that little secret bunker where the missiles are actually, or the nukes are actually hidden. I didn't mind that. It's just after that. Like, anytime they do fighting underwater, that's where I had a problem with, because it's hard to understand what's going on. The way they cut those shots, it's very choppy and, like, you know, pun intended, I guess, choppy water. But it just, I think whoever had the idea of, like, we're going to have a movie that deals with the water, like being in water, I just think there's a way you can go about it. Like, the writers will write themselves into a corner where they're basically like, okay, well, we have to have this fight, or we have to do this. And then I would, if I was the director, I would be like, okay, practically this isn't going to work, or it's not going to be entertaining on screen. So let's come up with something different. Like, it, you know, I would have totally done, like maybe James going down there diving, and then when he gets back up, surprise, the bad guys are waiting for him, or vice versa. Like, if the bad guys were down there and then they dive back up and then James is waiting for him, I would have done something like that, and in kind of a clean way to avoid what is a terribly it's not entertaining at all, the underwater fight sequence. Like I said, it's kind of cool in the sense of they were able to achieve that and have a, I don't know, 15 man versus 15 man side of two forces underwater, like shooting harpoons at each other. But anytime they fight and they wrestle, it's bad. There were a few shots that I noticed that like clearly was not James Bond. I don't mean just like there's like with the sharks, and I get that it's sharks. I get there's going to be a stunt double. There was another one where like James is in like, I think he's in his red trunks and he's trying to just get onto shore of like the island, I'm pretty sure. And they have a guy swimming, has longer hair, brown hair, clearly not Sean Connery. And then like they cut and it shows him getting up and it's Connery. And I'm like, I thought it was just a different character to start the shot. But I feel like that's pretty much it. The opening sequence, I remembered that there was a guy that's cross-dressing or whatever as a villain. I wish I would have understood like the whole background of that. Another thing I will say I don't like they had the whole thing about the actor, you know, he's a regular captain or something like that, and then he gets killed by a guy that looks exactly like him, and they're like, oh, well, he had facial reconstruction. I don't like any of that stuff. Just use a mask if you're going to go that route, or just see if you can cast somebody that looks similar to him. Or use, like in Live and Let Die, they use, like, you know, makeup to have, I can't even think of the guy's name, Kananga look like Mr. Big, like basically become two different people. I would have just liked, I don't know, some makeup, something, instead of just having the same actor play it, because to me, I just kind of takes me out of it. Because Mission Impossible, they have the masks, and I feel like the masks work when you explain it like that. But to just say that they did cosmetic surgery on this person, yeah, it's like, and you wouldn't notice a thing. I don't buy that. Yeah. So that being said, like I said, when I get done with these James Bond films, I will re-rank them. But as of right now, Thunderball has to be ranked at the bottom. And that being said, it's not as bad as I remember 3 years ago. I'll still give it credit that back then, Jesse, my buddy, gave it a coaster, which is our lowest rating, saying that the movie is better served holding your drink than being watched. I will say it's not that bad. I will give it, don't pay for this movie. I mean, there are some people that are big Thunderball fans. I forgot the guy's name, but he's from his YouTube channel is called The Bond Experience. You can check him out. He's got good content. He loves this movie. I think he puts it in like his top 5. And for me, I'm like, I don't know how. I mean, there are some aspects that are good about this movie, but I don't know how you explain that last action sequence and be like, yeah, that's great entertainment. So, yeah, as of right now, it's going to be last. Like, I'm not going to deny that. And like I said, I'm not counting Never Say Never Again. I'm not counting the original Casino Royale. I don't count those movies because they're not official. But yeah, for me, I can't fathom anything really being worse than it. And like I said, it's not god awful like I remember. It's just not good. It's not something I will go back and rewatch. Like I said, once I do these whole Bond rankings, I'd like to be able to sit back and this is me talking to future me. If you ever get tempted to buy Thunderball, you don't need to do it. You've watched it. You remember what the plot is. And if you ever want to remember what's going on, if you forget, just Google, Wikipedia it. Don't go buy the movie because it's not worth the money that you're going to pay. And like I said, it doesn't take away from Sean Connery's performance. He's pretty good in this movie. It's nothing like that. It's just the script that they were given for this movie and then the execution, both I think just fall flat. I was in the middle of watching Calvin Dyson and the Bond Experience guy. They were doing a debate about this movie because, like I said, the Bond Experience guy loves it, and Calvin Dyson's on my side where he's not a fan of this movie. And the Bond Experience guy was like, well, he was like, Connery, you could say that like he's great and he's bold and sticks out against like a bland backdrop. And I'm like, that's a really good way to put it. Is like the backdrop of this movie, nothing's really all that exciting. Like I said, the Bond girl, like Domino's a good Bond girl, but it's still like she's not up there with like some of the greats. So even she can't save this. And like I said, Connery does his best, but there's not really a whole lot of like there's not enough for him to do, I feel like, in this movie. And the main thing I feel like they wasted is Largo. Largo, to me, with the eye patch and his look, his white hair, and like him like hanging out by his pool with the sharks, I think that's pretty cool. I feel like it's wasted. If there was ever a way where they could like, I don't know, if there was deleted scenes they could throw in and chop and edit this movie and make it different, I would have just scrapped that underwater fight sequence and I would have just made it something different. You could have done some cool thing with the sharks in the pool. I don't know. I'm just saying it. But, well, that's it for this review. Hope you guys enjoyed. And then, like I said, I'll get the next one up and going as soon as I can get around to watching Diamonds Are Forever. Let me know if you like ThunderBall. I don't really know how you could. Like I said, I don't get it. Is there anybody that agrees with me that ThunderBall, when you watch it, you're just like, how was this made? But yeah, let me know in the comment section below if you like it. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a good one. See you on the next Bond review.